the podcast. Decided to do a pre-recorded intro because me and Jeff, we just kind of really got into it, and it's a really beautiful, sweet conversation, and so I just wanted to give everyone some clarity on what we're talking about. It's going to be about we're talking about losing a loved one, and not the finiteness or fickleness of life. So it's a lot about life or death this episode. So if that's triggering to anyone, this might not be the best episode. But if you want to, like, we're very sensitive, and we make some jokes, sure, but like I think it's very hopeful. We share a lot about ourselves. So yeah, that's going to be the episode. Tune in.
Hi, I'm Jeff, and I'm a therapist.
And I'm Tyler, and I'm a patient.
We're going to talk about trauma, healing, and everything. Everything is traumatic. There's wasted time in sitting and thinking and questioning and the philosophical things and feeling sad and fighting and being depressed. I feel like those are all part of the experience. But then when you look at the finiteness of it, it's just like, man, this is, we don't live very long.
We don't live
very that's long. If we live a full, whatever, 75 year average.
Yeah, we are. I just think that's ridiculous that that's supposed to be the average lifespan is 75. Like, there's just so many people who don't reach that.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's going down, but I mean, I thought it used to be like 70, 75-ish, and then that's skewed by the people that die very early, and it's skewed by the people that die at 120.
Right.
But
so it's just, yeah.
Have you seen the sharks that they found this shark that they think has been swimming in the ocean since the 1600s? So it's
no
other animals live longer, like those tortoises or whatever, those sea turtles, and sharks are like ancient. Sharks just keep going.
Well, they've been around longer than trees, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like 1600s, so that's going on 500 years old, and it's just like this old craggly shark. Look, I mean, it looks old, but it's also, they haven't evolved much because they haven't needed to. They're just perfect.
Yeah, they came out perfect.
And they don't get cancer. Sharks don't get cancer, and that's one of the things they've
Are you serious?
Used them. They don't get cancer. There's something about them. They don't get. I mean, I think they usually die because they get eaten,
right,
or killed.
By another shark or killer whale.
Yeah, exactly. A bigger shark. I think dolphins like to mess around. I think dolphins like to mess around with sharks.
Of course they do. God, of course.
Do you know that dolphins, so we're really, all of us love the dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
Dolphins will bully their own, and so they'll pick a runt or somebody they just don't like, and they'll bully it. I mean, to the point of almost killing it.
Yeah, I mean, we do that too.
Yeah,
dolphins ain't special for that.
I wish we had those snouts though. So instead of verbally abusing people, we could just get our snouts, and we could put them in the center and just go run at them and hit them with our snouts.
Yeah, we can just boop them, boop them with our snoots. We can just boop them with our snoots. Booping. Yeah,
everybody loves the dolphins, but they'll rape you, man.
That's what I'm saying.
A dolphin will rape you.
Yeah, no, don't never turn your back on a dolphin.
Do not bend over for the soap in front of a dolphin. That should be our new show slogan. Never bend over for the soap in front of a dolphin. You don't want to be in jail with a dolphin.
No.
That's what I'm thinking.
Because first of all, he did a lot of snoot booping to get in that jail cell. He got caught.
It'd be half underwater.
Mm-hmm. It'd have to be. And that's when he gets
you. They're mammals like us, but they're so much smarter than us.
Yeah, there's some smart motherfuckers. There's some smart, sneaky guys. Those dolphins. I don't trust them.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think we're just like sort of messing around. I don't know if we're rolling yet or not, but
Yeah, I mean, I hit record. I hit record
okay,
during your
good.
spiel,
Because I
so
think the dolphin material is good, but and we haven't really talked a lot about what this episode would be about, but like I think we're hitting on it a little bit, the therapeutic kind of the finiteness of life, the 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 stress of life, the downs of life, the trauma of life. It helps us to understand the ups of life. If you were, this is, I mean, I'm sort of rambling here, but like, so when I was growing up in the evangelical church, the whole idea was you would go to heaven and everything would be perfect.
mm,
And then you'd live eternally, right?
right.
In perfection. And that was pushed as a positive. And I mean, I like the idea of there wouldn't be sickness and there wouldn't be like poverty and so there'd be like equality. But if there's not any kind of strife, I mean, what is it? You just sit around and like,
And be perfect all day, and just nothing bad happens. No inconvenience happens to shake things up to make you feel. Because those things make you feel alive, right? Like those
yeah,
are the
yeah,
actual things that make you feel alive. Like, don't get me wrong, like looking at a beautiful sunset makes you feel alive, and doing something that makes you happy feels alive, sure. But the
yes,
real nitty gritty things that make you feel alive are the awful things that happen to you, or the mild inconveniences, I
yeah.
should
And then
say.
how do you make it through those? And then also, I think that's when your support system steps up.
Hmm.
Like I've noticed that like people just come out of the woodwork. And we always are talking about the negativity of people sometimes, how like people are just horrible. But like when there's a tragedy, like this lady's family, friends, work, they just
Hmm.
come out like I'm gonna send you $100. I'm no questions asked, or can I help you? What I mean, it's like that's when the humanity, the beautiful pieces of humanity come out because everybody has experienced some kind of loss, and everybody can be like, I may not have experienced your loss,
Hmm.
but I've experienced loss. And I know that
Right.
at that time I needed support. And that's sort of where the best of us comes out under that
Yes.
pressure.
Hmm. Oh
So in
man.
heaven, I mean, so like they used to talk about in our church, my church, I grew up Baptist, that heaven would be like an eternal church service. And I was always like, even when I was buying in, I was like, that doesn't sound like fun.
That
I don't
is.
know if I want, because church is boring. My
Yeah, I
church was
don't know
boring.
if I want heaven to be a church service. Like
I mean,
I fell asleep during a lot of mine.
I
Like
mean, when I was young, I slept under the pews.
mm,
It's just like maybe if maybe if there was no poverty and disease, but we could still have our petty stuff. We could still like stub our toe and we could still like be grumbly and spill the coffee. That
mm,
would be like okay, because then we're dealing with like everybody is equal and everybody has their needs met, everybody has health insurance. But then
mm.
we still get to like I would like the idea of not being able to like some people. They're still like, oh, the Smiths. They're
Well,
always flying over my house, peeing on the yard.
well, Jeff, that brings up an interesting point too. Like, if you and maybe we won't use any of this, but I don't know. But I'm gonna say it because we're here on it. Um,
Yeah,
if you are allowed to not like certain people, then the fucking racist the racist Baptist who like he did everything right, but like he just didn't really care about black people all that much or something. In their heaven, they should be allowed to continue that bigotry. So like what is heaven then? Like what is an actual ideal heaven logistically? Like what is that? What
right.
is it actually without strife and everything's perfect and no one's there, or is it a specialized thing where I don't know, I don't know. I'm an atheist. I don't believe there is a heaven,
You
but
know,
that's okay.
I like the idea of a continuance of life because it scares me to think of not existing. So I feel like there are parts of me that wants to adhere to there is something more. I think my most honest answer is I just don't know. I would
Mm,
like there to be something nice. I would like to see my dad again. I would like to see pets again. I would like to, see my, my wife's dad again.
yeah,
Um,
of
those
course.
things seem ideal and like nice,
Mm,
but I just don't know. And I lean to the idea that nothing bad is going to happen to us after we die, but I don't know if anything good happens.
right.
But I don't think anything bad happens. I don't think there's any eternal punishment or any kind of pain or suffering or negativity. And I would be okay with reincarnation too, if like you're born and you just don't remember and you get to try again, you know.
Right.
I'm okay with that idea. That
I
makes sense.
and I might butcher the hell out of this, but I always liked the theory about like when you're when you die and your dopamine releases. I liked that theory of like if depending on how you felt about yourself, if you thought you were internal, like actually did good in your life or were actually worthy of heaven or hell or whatever, the dopamine in your brain all releasing is going to feel like a lifetime, though it will only be in reality a few minutes. It's going to feel to you a lifetime. So I think when people say
Yeah,
they see a light or they see heaven or whatever, or like
right.
I saw everyone, that's all your dopamine releasing, and therefore like it's causing your brain to essentially like hallucinate all this stuff. And like I think it's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing that like sure like I don't this is why I don't I mean, there's a lot of reasons why I don't believe, but this makes more sense to me that we can imagine this place and like this is essentially Lenny looking at the fucking field and imagining the rabbits. That's like
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we're all going to end up doing is,
Yeah.
you know, we're going to look at
You
the
know,
fucking
and
field.
you know, I feel like the idea of not existing, it freaks me out till you remember that we've been around for 4.5 billion years, and before we were born, we didn't know we were not born.
Mm-hmm.
And so when if there is absolutely nothing, we won't know. We won't be aware.
And
And
I
so it
mean,
will just,
and
it'll just be like a long sleep.
mm-hmm.
You
And
just won't be aware. You won't dream though.
yeah, you won't. I mean, or maybe you will again with the dopamine release theory or
True.
whatever. Um,
So this is my only hang up. So I am comfortable saying I feel like there is possibly a higher force outside of us. I don't know. Um, I do think there are unexplained things, and we can't explain everything with science. I don't know. I I don't think there's anything bad, but energy doesn't. So maybe we just become part of the universe. I mean, our bodies become part of the earth, right? I
mm-hmm.
mean, if we're buried, we're going to eventually decay and become part of the earth again, which is what we came from. And then if we're cremated or something, we're in a different form because we've been burnt and we will be spread or put in a urn or whatever, and then we will become back part of the earth.
Yeah,
And so maybe that's the eternity is this we just become part of creation. We're back to we came out of the immortal ooze or whatever, and then we're back.
yeah.
And then we feed, somebody eats us, worms eat us, and then we're going on with the worms.
No, yeah, and I
But
mean, like, and I think we get hung up on the fact that like once our consciousness is not there to experience us going into the earth and decaying and all that, like our consciousness, us here, like when we die, like yes, we die, but like the essence or the memories that you inflict onto the world, like that doesn't go away until like, I don't know, the last person who knows you like
Yeah,
dies.
but
But like that gets continued. Like we we kind of immortalize ourselves through just living the life and like affecting people. So like I think it's good to take, some sort of solace in that. Like the way
yeah,
that you affect people is what keeps you alive after you're dead, because like you're not truly gone till like the last person who knew you or heard
right,
of you
right.
spoke your name.
Well, and then did you see the movie Babylon?
No.
Okay, so it's a really good movie. It's all over the place, but there's a scene in Babylon where the idea of we live and die, and it starts at the beginning of sort of like the end of the silent films, the beginning of the talkies. But there's a scene basically that says while we live and die, the movie star is eternal because there is celluloid, and if you put it on, you're alive again. Somebody sees you again like you were alive.
Mm-hmm.
And so just thinking about this, even though we're like, I mean, apparently we have lots of new fans in Virginia, or something's going on in Virginia.
Yeah, whoever
Um,
is in Virginia, if it's one person listening to all the episodes, or if it actually is like 24, like please email us and like
yeah,
I want to speak with you. I want to know what you like about this show or
we were
anyone.
both in Virginia a couple of weeks ago, so that's what's even weirder about it. That
Yeah.
we were both of us in different places. We're in your state of Virginia, so I don't know if it was like an energy thing or we came up on a some kind of weird algorithm because we mentioned Virginia, but we welcome you. We like
Yeah,
Virginia. It's
we like.
beautiful,
Yeah, it's a
beautiful
beautiful,
country.
beautiful country.
But but I mean, so this podcast is going to be in the ether somewhere on a server somewhere for until those servers go away. So I mean, it could be 1,000 years from now, somebody could listen to this podcast,
Yep.
and that's an eternity of oh, at the moment we're speaking. I mean, we're not there,
Mm-hmm.
but and that's an eternity too. And so like there's all and also like the kind of work if you just touch anybody, if you do anything to help somebody, you may not know. If you're kind, that can move on into somebody else's eternity of, hey, I remember that guy that was nice to me that day, or you
Mm-hmm.
teach somebody something, or you
Yeah.
like are helpful to somebody. That's another way I think eternity can happen. We're so scared of not existing that I think we have to create these ways of safety. But if you look at the Old Testament, especially, the Jewish faith didn't believe in an afterlife. It was sort of you just died. It
Mm-hmm.
was about being good on earth while you're here, and then the evangelical movement has sort of taken things and turned them into these all these ideas. But even the idea of heaven and hell are really not spoken of that much in the traditional literature, the Bible. Those are things that really come from all kinds of pop culture, really, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
it's very much a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a dogmatic
yeah,
fear tactic is what
yeah,
it is.
yeah, and it comes from Dante. I mean, a lot of the hell idea comes from Dante's Inferno and all this medieval, old, whatever, the Dark Ages kind of art where like people are being, taunted by demonic kind of things. So I mean, it's anyway, I mean, we're just going around in circles, but you've got a limited amount of weeks. Um, so like, but yeah, anyway, the whole idea is like we live on in other ways through people, through
Yeah.
relationships, through connections,
Well, even through
through
like,
art.
yeah, through art. That's the thing that really like spoke to me when you talked about that Babylon scene. Um, where like, because I mean, that's why we take pictures. That's why we we
Yeah,
we 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 try to preserve family history. Like there are people from like thousands of years ago that we still talk about today. Like, if your big fear about dying is being forgotten, I don't think that's an important thing. You're gonna live on in more ways than you can even fathom. So
Yeah. So like
like,
we both of us are photographers. You're an artist in the medium of
oh,
painting and things. And so,
I wouldn't call myself a photographer. I got a camera
well,
from Five
you
Below.
you dabble in photography, especially Polaroid, which is something we have in common. But so like I try to think of sometimes like because I'll be on Reddit and it'll be like I bought these photos at an estate sale, and here they are. And usually they're like old photos, but like I mean, I can imagine after I've passed, after my partner's passed, there's going to be somebody that comes in and sells this stuff.
Hmm.
And like same thing for you, but they're going to see your art and somebody's going to buy that. And they're
Hmm.
going to say, I like this, or I want to share this, or it'll end up in a Goodwill store or something.
Yep.
But then somebody will pick it up and say, oh, this is interesting. And so that's like, that to me is like such a weird idea that thousands of years from now, or hundreds of years, or 50 years from now, somebody may just pick up something or hear listen to this podcast or look at one of the films we made
Hmm.
and see it and discover it. People are discovering silent movies. Youth are discovering silent movies or the Beatles or
Hmm.
somebody, and it's just like so it doesn't end. It continues and people are always rediscovering things.
Yep.
We still listen to Bach and Beethoven. We still look at art from thousands of years ago.
Hmm.
And so I think that is a way to continue your whatever it is you want. It's just you make something, create something.
Well,
And
even if you're not an artistic person or anything like that, like you can create moments. You can create little acts of kindness.
yeah,
You can create just like a passing smile when you're walking down the street, or like a wave when you're driving, or like there's
yeah,
so many little things you can do to affect other people's lives that like make an impact, and you don't. I don't know. Like
yeah.
it's
Or, some
sad.
people aren't artistic, but they like to garden or they like to plant. And I mean, you
Hmm.
just think, like sometimes you'll plant something and it keeps coming back. And it's like, so, these unknown gardens that have been gone unattended, sometimes they continue to grow things because you planted a seed 100 years ago. It's just like, I don't know. It makes me, I don't want to die. And I think if I was told or I was in the place where you have a certain amount of time left, that would be hard to deal with. But I
Hmm.
think I'm much more afraid of suffering or being unable to think or like being like just sitting somewhere and not being able to function. That scares me more than the idea of I'm just cease because I just don't
Yeah.
think there's as bad. Once I was able to get through my fear of hell, which troubled me much even into my 40s, and it still troubles me sometimes. But normally letting go of that has freed me so much to be such a better, I'm not saying I'm a great person, but that I'm not so focused on this idea of retribution and that I have to act a certain way to keep out of hell. I can just
Yeah.
be who I am. I don't have to worry about that. I can
Oh,
just be me.
Jeff,
And hopefully I'm a good person and hopefully I help people
you are a
and I
good
create,
person.
but I'm not doing it to stay out of hell. And that actually feels more noble than
Hmm.
saying I'm going to be a good person because I'm afraid of hell,
Yes.
or retribution or whatever it is.
Well, it's like and first of all, yes, you are a good person, Jeff.
Thank you, my friend.
You try to be kind, and you try to 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 be supportive, and like like you don't get that a whole lot in life. You don't get someone who's actually going to be like completely non-judgmental and just like, okay, how do you feel about this thing? I get you. Like, I feel like I can come up to you and be like, Jeff, I just stabbed this person. And you're like, okay, well, why did you stab
Let's
him?
talk. Let's talk about
Let's
that.
talk about that. Yeah, like, and
And
you don't get that. You don't get
we've
that
talked
like.
about this. We've talked about this before about like just us meeting when we first met, and it was what attracted me to you in the sense it was just your, we don't know each other at all. We're starting to do a scene. You're making me laugh. We're this person that I could just like immediately connect with. You made me feel at ease, and that's a skill. It was just like this guy, I can talk to this guy,
Mm,
and we're from different backgrounds and we have different thoughts on things, but I think it was just that immediate like I really enjoy hanging out with this guy, and so
mm,
um and that's the thing that's so great about, I guess, the film world, the Knoxville film world or whatever, is that you get to meet people and it doesn't matter. You're just trying to make something. You're just trying to create something. So it's fun.
I
Um,
know, and
and,
I have such a problem of getting in my head and like being anxious because I can remember that day of meeting you and like I was very anxious. Like the only person I knew on that shoot was Brandon Anthony, and
uh,
it was just like everyone else I had never really met, and so I didn't want to be a dick. I didn't want to come across as an asshole, but like that's one of those things I really do strive for is like being easy to talk to, like relax, like there's no social expectation. I'm not going to judge you if you whatever you do to get by during the day is fine.
yeah,
But I like to cut up and like laugh because laughing's the best thing. Laughing's the best thing ever.
laughing feels so good. And it feels really good to make somebody else laugh. It's wonderful that you do something and then somebody else laughs. I can understand why comics get addicted to that. Like your partner is a comic,
Mm,
and like one of the things she does is stand-up comedy, and it's just like I can see how that could be addictive because it's like the laughter is your drug, and then you want more of it. I just want to make people laugh more. You
mm,
know, um, and so like, but yeah, I mean, it's weird because that chance connection that I happen to know Kevin, and Kevin wanted me to help with this, and he pulled you in, and now we are doing a podcast.
I
Like
know,
years
yeah.
later, we've got 50 episodes of a podcast done, and we've been in multiple projects together. In
Mm,
fact, you roughed me up pretty well in one.
I know. I felt really bad.
Did you watch that? I haven't watched it yet. I'm
I
I'm
have.
I'm too nervous to
Oh,
watch it.
it was good. No, you should watch it.
Okay.
Oh, pop my fingers.
I was actually injured in that. Not you didn't injure me. I
No,
hurt my shoulder
you
in
were
that
hitting the
shoot.
ground pretty hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was slapping myself in the head.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
deserve
I always.
that nomination.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I need to watch it. Um, I just have not because I mean I think it was you did great. I feel like the set was great. Rafi did great. I just
Rafi did. I think everyone did great, but me, of course. But
well that's yeah. I just was like that was so sort of out of character for me that it was like
I
getting
know
into a
that
weird
was.
headspace.
Yeah, it was good to not be typecast and to try something different.
Yeah, and that's sort of what he wanted to do with us, right? He wanted to like take us into a different space.
Rafi, if you're listening, let us know if that was your intent.
Yeah. Yeah, we appreciate the thought of let's try something different.
Mm.
Um, I haven't, it's weird because like the film festival circuit goes on at weird times. It used to be you would be working on Knoxville Film Fest, and now it's Knox Film Fest. And so last year
I
we
thought it
were
was
both involved in quite a few.
Film fest
Film
Knox.
Fest Knox. Yeah, yeah, yeah. A shout out to them. We'd love to be your sponsor or love you to sponsor us. But I haven't had any, and there's not as much, I don't know, there doesn't seem to be as much stuff happening as there was last year. And maybe it's just early. I know a couple of people are working on some stuff, but last year it was just like everybody was doing it.
Well, I mean, the kickoff is I believe the sign up for the elevator pitch is fuck, I can't remember. June 17th, I think. So Tuesday?
Okay, so it's not here yet. It's
Yeah,
we're still early.
it's about to gear up. It's about
Yeah.
to gear up, son.
So when I talked to you last night, we were supposed to record last night, and I had been hanging out with my friend who lost their partner.
Mm.
I had talked about grief, and I feel like we're sort of talking about that in the sense of, you know, we are not eternal beings.
Yeah.
We are we are here for a short time, and part of grief, I think, is the realization of that and the acceptance of that. And then when somebody you know dies, I was talking to my wife, and it's like this is the first person our age. He was 54. His name
Mm-hmm.
was Donnie. Um, I've had my father passed away. I've had grandparents or my partner's grandparents. I've known people that were younger that passed away, but this is the first person that's sort of a peer that is close to my age that died from something. And
Mm.
it's sort of like sobering in the sense of like it makes you re-examine everything and it makes you think about your yeah, how short a life we do have.
Yeah.
And I think you can look at that in a therapeutic mode of fear, or you can say, okay, so I'm going to let this remind me of we are fragile beings. You know, at any moment something could happen. You
Yeah.
know, it's just an erratic, crazy world, and I
Mm-hmm.
think that helps. It's for me. Of course, his partner is grieving, and his children are grieving in a much different way. But I think they're also thinking about he was suffering and there's no guarantee he would not continue to suffer. And so, not that they wanted him to die, but that it's nice that he's not suffering. He
Mm-hmm.
is no longer suffering,
And
you
that's
know, and
like,
that's something to think about.
yeah, that's the double sides of grief, I feel, in a way, like, because when we, because, okay, so I'm trying to connect what we said earlier. We talked about, you know, extending that and being a good person and affecting people's lives. And this is like, that's the side effect. I don't know if it's negative or positive. I'm sure it's negative in a way, but that's the negative, or that's the side effect of like you affect these people's lives, therefore they get a connection towards you and you connect to them. And so then when they are no longer on this planet is when you're like, well, fuck, no, I miss that person. That person made me smile or laugh
Yeah.
or feel good about myself, and now they are no longer existing on this physical plane. And it's like, well, yes, that does suck, and it hurts. It, especially when it's someone that you love, especially when it's someone that you've built a life with, and you've seen so many stages of that person. You've grown with that person. It's a terrible fucking thing. It hurts, and that is such a unfathomable thing. Like, of course, grief just like grows and shrinks and grows and shrinks, and then it's all of a sudden on this side, and now I'm thinking about this, and like it sucks. It's a terrible thing, and I wouldn't wish it on anyone. But it's like, and I'm not trying to undercut anyone's grief, but I think when I'm grieving, when I get when I feel like really bad about things, I wouldn't feel this bad about things if it wasn't something great before. You know, like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
person who
That's a
was,
huge,
yeah, I wouldn't feel this bad. You only most of the time feel this bad when it's something good before it. And so,
yes.
and
It's a reminder. I think it shakes us up a little bit and it reminds us we are we are finite. And
mhm,
sometimes we get in a malaise of sort of routine and we just sort of going through the motions. And I think sometimes when we are reminded of our finiteness, it makes us say, okay, so I'm going to reach out to some people. I actually reached out to some other friends that I had talked to for a little bit. I'm like, hey, I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. And I think it's that reminder of, okay, it's okay to sit around and do nothing, but it's also, we just have to remember we are finite and there are reasons not to talk to people, but sometimes it's like, okay, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to say hello. I'm going to, it made me want to hold the people I care about a little closer and make sure they knew I appreciated them, you
Mm-hmm.
know? Um, and like as a therapist, grief is hard to deal with because I think the first thing when somebody comes in to me and they're suffering is I want to fix that, right? I
Mm-hmm.
want to take away that suffering. But that suffering is, you can't take that away, and it's not healthy to take it away. And so I think what it is you allow the person to be who they are, where they are, and you remind them that grief is not a linear process and there's no right or wrong way to grieve.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like sometimes they come in and they'll cry the whole session. Sometimes they'll come in and they'll laugh the whole session. Sometimes it'll be a mix of both. And they'll say, like, I feel guilty that I don't feel worse. It's
Mm-hmm.
that kind of thing. And I try to remind them, it's just like, there's no rules for this. You just do it. You keep processing. You do what you need to do. My
Right.
friend who just lost their husband was like, is it too early for me to start going through their stuff? It's like, no, it's not.
Mm-mm.
She said, I think this will be therapeutic for me just to go through and look at pictures and memories. I have a client that lost their daughter and they haven't changed that person's room yet. And they're like, is that wrong that I haven't changed the room for 8 months? It's like, no,
No,
it's not wrong.
that's not
And so
wrong
it's
at
like
all.
you grieve the way you grieve. And I think maybe, the therapeutic piece of what we're talking about here, and maybe for our listeners, because we're all going to deal with grief, is there's no right or wrong way to do it. It's okay to just stumble through it. And I think the biggest thing is it's okay to ask for help. And
Yeah.
it's okay to say, I don't understand what's going on and I need help, but I'm not sure what I need. I'm not sure, my friend who lost her husband just said, people keep asking me what I need. And she's like, I don't know what I need. And so what people have been doing is just coming and sitting at her house, and not even always talking, just
No,
being there,
yeah,
you
just
know?
being there. Um,
So, I mean,
I don't
I hope
know.
our listeners can maybe get the idea that we're all going to go through this. And sometimes it's more tragic than others,
Hmm.
but it's okay to feel what you feel. You don't have to follow our rules. You don't have to do it in a certain way. You just do it and you just do your best.
If I may, I think I have something that I don't know, kind of. I think it kind of applies to all this, and it's something that happened to me like in therapy this past last therapy session. I guess last week is what it was. So, and if you guys if you regularly listen to the podcast, you kind of know my journey with EMDR, and just to anyone who's coming in, I'll do a quick recap. I've been doing EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization reprocessing therapy, on and off for like the past year or so. And the main thing I've been focusing on is the feeling of feeling defective and not good, and just like processing and like processing through the trauma of my mom passing away. And so we did this last session this past week, and it was it was very odd just because like I made we talked about this a few episodes back where I got a good re-examination of like what zero is, and it isn't like completely not thinking about the memory, but it's like having the memory is always going to be sad, but it doesn't like dysregulate your
Mm,
emotions. It doesn't ruin your day. You're able to think about it and be sad, but it's like that is a sad memory, but I'm not, it's not bringing anything back. I don't feel fucked up from it. And so we kind of reached what I think is like, I don't know, the other side
mm,
of that kind of like I can think about that memory of my mom's death, of finding her body, and it not dysregulating me, not
mm.
completely crippling me, not ruining my day. It's a sad memory, but like because the type of therapy I did of just like reliving that memory so many times and approaching it through so many angles and reaching so many different conclusions, I feel strangely like at peace with it. And I mean, my mom
Mm.
passed away when I was 10. So this has been about 20 years brewing.
Yeah, yeah.
22 years brewing. So yeah, it's just like I know this just recently happened to your friend, and I express my like dearest condolences. I feel for you because that is a terrible feeling. It's terrible to lose someone so important in your life. But I mean, right now it's just taking little baby steps and doing like you said, there is no right or wrong way. Like
Right.
when you feel ready to actually like unpack it, you will. And it's great to just know that like you will get better.
I think your what you just talked about is such a beautiful way to talk about the healing process. And we touched on this last episode that like whether you're a therapist, whether you're a client, whether whoever you are, we all experience grief
Mm-hmm.
and we're all are going to be faced with loss. And I think that you have this is the thing. Sad things are never not going to be sad. But what you've been able to do is get to a point where you can experience that sadness in a way that doesn't derail you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what, and the idea that it takes 20 years, yes, that life is, things are slow. Those kind of traumas sometimes are very slow, but it's beautiful to know that we can heal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's beautiful to know that we all experience loss at some time. Different types of loss, some are worse than others, but we don't need to compare grief or loss because loss is loss. And so
Yeah, it's
I think that's just a beautiful explanation of healing that he and the therapeutic process because therapy doesn't always take 20 years, but therapy is not it's not like fast. It's not like boom, boom, boom. EMDR helps things and there are certain techniques, but healing and being a human is a complicated process. And
mm-hmm.
so choosing to go to therapy, choosing to heal yourself, choosing to let that process occur and to be patient with yourself and not to be beat yourself up and think you need to be somewhere else. I think that's part of that of the beauty of what you're talking about is it takes time.
Yeah,
And
it is a process, and like it's a process that you just have to trust and understand that like that the process is the real meat and potatoes of everything. I feel
yes,
you know
yes, exactly.
so
Whether you go to therapy or not, I mean, I think therapy is not, I think everybody should go to therapy. I'm a therapist. I've been to therapy. I think it's a good deal. But
mm,
people are able to heal in other ways. And so just realizing that healing is a process. And we just, the biggest thing I think I want clients to feel is safety and that they are cared for and that there is somebody that legitimately is on their side to support them while they do the work. The therapist doesn't do the work, the client does the work.
yeah.
And the therapist is there to support them in that work
Mm-hmm.
and make sure they have a safe place to do that work and to give them tools and to make suggestions. but the work is done by the client. And so I think
Yeah.
that's the big thing to remember. The work is done. And many times it's not done during the session. It's done after the session. It's done during the week. It's
Hmm.
done when you're thinking or you can't sleep at night or you're feeling suicidal or you're whatever. That's when the work is done.
Yeah.
Um,
No, you're absolutely right. Like, and I mean, like, in a way, the work's never actually done. Like, you're always going to be
true.
growing and working, and it's a journey. Like you said, like we never get to the destination, but we get better, and like that's so true. We really do like get better, and I don't know, Jeff. I think this has reached its logical conclusion, but I wanted to, I want to switch things up. I think I want to move these emails and everything to like towards the end of the episodes,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so we got a postcard from
Really.
we got a postcard emailed to us. The front of it is a cityscape with a bunch of question marks on it. It looks like this came from Vin,
Okay.
and it says, "Dearest Jeff and Tyler, as I take the midnight train headed anywhere, I thought I might give you some clues to my whereabouts, and you can have your other couple of listeners email you their guesses to my location." Well, that's nice of them.
Huh. That's interesting.
So here's the clue. As I steal away from y'all, I am not near my brother I love. But being vain is hard as I forgot to put deodorant on my underarms. What I have
Huh.
learned. Just as two rivers come together to make a third one, yet keep their own identity, two ideas can combine to make a new one, and yet still live separately.
Wow.
Yeah, I
So
am.
this came in the mail?
Well, it was emailed to me, but it was on a
Oh, okay,
postcard.
okay, okay, okay. An
Yeah.
email postcard. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's like an emailed
I guess
postcard.
we
It
don't
was
want
really
people to
sweet.
know our addresses in case we piss somebody off that they don't show up and whoop us.
Yeah, they might mail us some anthrax or something, but
We
um
have anthrax dogs trained to smell the anthrax, so
yeah, I mean, I don't know if I should say the clue again just to as I
let's
still
do it one
away.
more time.
Yeah, so the
One more
clue
time.
for you listeners out there, if you want to guess where Vin Win is, here's the clue. As I steal away from y'all, I am not near my brother I love. But being vain is hard as I forgot to put on deodorant on my underarms. And then I'm not sure what I learned is, but I'm going to repeat that just to be safe. Maybe that's part of the
Okay.
clue. I don't know, but it was also a neat thought. Just as two rivers come together to make a third one, yet keep their own identity, two ideas can combine to make a new one and yet still live separately.
Hmm.
So that's neat.
It's
Yeah.
interesting.
If you
I
guys
have
want
some
to,
ideas, but I don't want to throw anything out. Maybe we can talk about what we think next week and then let listeners possibly see if they have any. Maybe when you drop the episode, you could also post the riddle again, like on our page or something.
oh, that's a
Um,
good idea.
yeah, yeah. Sometimes people can see things written. I've got a couple of ideas have come to my brain, but I don't want to spoil it. So
Yeah,
we'll let.
I gotta think about this one because I'm not so good with riddles. But
Yeah,
if you find listeners have any answers, email us at everythingistraumatic@gmail.com and send us your guesses
definitely.
on where Vin is.
Yeah,
I hope he's safe on his travels, and I hope he, sends us another postcard. Maybe we can figure this out. But
he's been a very vocal listener of sending us goodies, and we appreciate him, and we would love to hear from others of you. But we're happy for what we're getting. We're very happy for Virginia.
We're happy
So
for
let us know what's
Virginia.
happening.
Let us know what's going on, guys. Thank you again for listening to the podcast. This is Jeff. Any final thoughts on
Just
any of this?
just just remember we don't always have tomorrow. So do talk to the people you care about and let them know you care about them. Don't assume you're going to, I'm not trying to be sad, but just, tell people you care about them. Don't say, "Oh, I'll talk to them later."
Yeah,
Just let people know and take care of yourself. That's one of our always refrains
that's
is
one
take
of
good care of yourself.
yeah, that's one of our mottos here.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well, yep. This has been everyone here at everything. Everything is traumatic. I'm Tyler,
And I'm Jeff.
and please tell your loved ones you love them, tell your friends you friend them, tell your acquaintances that they're quite quaint, and please take care of yourself.